So for step 1, charging the battery pack. Well, as you know, I don't do this right away because until the car's finished, I just don't see the point in charging the battery, and I've done this with all cars. So we're just going to skip over step 1, and we're going to move on to step 2, which is the motor mount. So we have this piece here with a couple of bearings that have to go in. It shows greasing them, but I won't be doing that because we're going to use a full set of ball bearings in this kit. And then you can see there's 4 screws that need to attach to that. So I've got the pieces right there that we need. There's our bearings and our screws. So I'll set this up and let's put this together. So first, let's grab this piece right here and we're going to pop in our bearings. There we go. There are our 2 bearings in that. And you can see that for this part, it needs to be facing that way so that it pretty much is the shape of what we need. You can see the way this is shaped at the top. So we know that this is the direction. And then this is going to fit into there. Now you can see here that this part is sticking out, and that means that we're going to be attaching it that way where that is fitting inside of there. And you can see how that's all going to go. So all we need to do is put in our 4 screws from this side. So let's do that. And again, I like to go back and forth. I don't like screwing something in all the way because when there's more than 1 screw, you never know whether, you tighten one up and then all of a sudden you can't access the hole when you're going around putting in the screws everywhere else. So I like to go around every hole, put the screw in, and make sure that everything's going in fine. And they are. So I can start actually tightening this all up. And again, I kind of like to go around and tighten them up like you would on a car where you're putting the wheels on and you're supposed to go back and forth, crisscross, etc., just to make sure that everything's going on correctly. Which it is, they're nice and tight. So that is it. That is essentially step 2, pretty simple. So that's what it'll look like. So we're finished with step 2. So we're going to move on to step 3 and work on the spur gear. We're going to grab the part that we built in step 2 and we're going to add the spur gear, the shaft. We've got a couple of other shafts as well as these pieces here, but you can also see this symbol means that they want you to use rubber cement, and part of that is just so that the pin doesn't pop out while we're putting this all together. So there's our part from the previous step. There's our spur gear and some of the other pieces, and I'll be using some of this Elmer's rubber cement for that part right here. So I'll set this up and let's put this together. So on further inspection, it's kind of interesting. This one they show with the rubber cement, but this one they're showing you actually putting a bit of grease on it. So let's just start with this piece here. And you can see that the shaft is pretty much equidistant in terms of those holes. So it's not going to matter which one which side you do this in. So if we grab a little bit of the rubber cement, I'm not going to use a lot, so I'm just going to wipe off the goop here. You can see that we're going to need a little bit in there, and I think the easiest way to do that is to put the goop there, and that's kind of extra goopy. I'm going to grab the longer one. Notice that there is a size difference, so we need the the MA11, which is that smaller one, and I'm just going to put that in there. Now there's excess, so I'm just going to clear off the excess rubber cement. But by sticking that in, it's definitely going to stay. So if I turn this around, you can see that that's got to go into our spur gear, just like that. So it's just going to sit there like that. And then this is going to slide through the part that we were building before. So if I turn this the right way, this is how it needs to be. We're going to slide that into there, just like that. And then you can see that this pin, they're showing a little bit of grease. Now this is the MA10, so it's the longer one. So I'll put a little bit of grease, just as they say. And I'm using a tube from one of my spare ones. It's not the one that comes in the kit. And let's put that in there. And just the way that's being held, I don't want it to pop out, so I'm just curious to see how this is gonna work. I'll go back to horizontal. Then you can see that this is going to fit over top, and you can see there is a notch for it. So that's going to sit over top. Just like that. You can see how that sits. And then it's showing this clip piece, which is going to go over this part, which is interesting. So it's going to snap in that way. See how there's a notch there? This needs to sit over top of that. So if I turn this around, actually, let's do it this way. It needs to be pulled apart a little bit in order to pop this on. Now, can I do it on camera? I'm going to try. I need it to get on there, but what's the easiest way? There. It's not quite right. Well, it is. Just gonna move that over a bit. There. Okay, so that is on. So that round bit, this clip C1, basically clips it into place. So now it's in there. It won't come out. Interesting. But of course, one of the reasons that's there is because when you want to change this gear, the setups to front wheel, or what is it, front motor, rear drive, etc., we're going to need to change out this pin because the front engine rear drive is the longer metal shaft. So that plastic piece will be popped off so you can slide this whole thing out. So that's the reason it's there. But anyways, that is it. So that is our spur gear attached. So step 3 is complete. So now we're going to move on to step 4, and we're going to attach the pinion gear.